Imagine this, you've just shared an intimate moment with a man, and while the closeness feels amazing, a small part of you starts to wonder, what happens now? Will he still want me the same way tomorrow? Will he chase me, or will he pull away? That exact moment, right after intimacy, is where most women lose their power without even realizing it. But here's the truth. There is one secret move you can make that flips the script. A move that doesn't just keep his attention, but makes him chase you harder than ever. The power of pulling back gracefully after intimacy is one of the most misunderstood yet effective dynamics in relationships because it goes against what most people naturally feel inclined to do. After sharing closeness with someone, the human instinct is to hold on tightly, to text right away, to check in repeatedly, or to express affection in ways that might feel overbearing. But the truth is, what often keeps desire alive and makes a man chase you is not the closeness itself, but the space that follows. When you pull back gracefully, without drama or coldness, you allow him to process the experience, miss you, and feel the natural urge to move closer again. It is not about playing games or pretending you don't care. Instead, it's about showing that while intimacy was meaningful, it did not suddenly make you lose your sense of independence or balance. Imagine this, when someone eats their favorite meal, they often crave it again later, not because they were force-fed more, but because the taste left them satisfied and wanting a repeat experience. Relationships and attraction work in a similar way. If, after intimacy, you smother him with constant attention or overstay your emotional welcome, he doesn't get the chance to feel that hunger for you again. Pulling back gracefully is the art of giving just enough space for him to notice the absence of your energy, without creating anxiety or making him feel you've withdrawn in a harsh way. What makes this move powerful is the way it communicates self-respect. You're essentially saying, without words, that was wonderful, but my life is still full, and I am still me. You're not clinging to the moment as if it's your only source of happiness. Men, like anyone else, are drawn to people who have a strong sense of self, people who know how to enjoy connection without becoming dependent on it. When you can lie next to him, enjoy that closeness, and then later pull back with grace, you reveal that you value the intimacy, but you also value your independence. That balance is irresistible. Another reason this works is psychological. Desire thrives in the presence of anticipation and space. If everything is constantly available, the excitement fades. By pulling back, you reignite anticipation. You give him the opportunity to wonder what you're doing, to reflect on how he felt when he was with you, and to realize he wants to experience that again. When you don't rush to fill every gap with words or actions, you leave him with silence that echoes, reminding him of the connection you shared. That silence, if paired with warmth earlier, becomes magnetic rather than empty, and the key here is grace. Pulling back doesn't mean being cold, dismissive, or playing hard to get in a harsh way. It's about subtle gestures. Maybe you get up after a while to focus on something else in your day. Maybe you leave with a soft kiss and a smile instead of lingering until the moment feels heavy. Maybe you don't send 10 texts the next morning, but instead, let him be the one to reach out first. These small actions show balance, and that balance is what makes him lean forward. Think of it as a dance. When one partner steps back slightly, the other naturally leans in to close the space. But if you never step back, there's no reason for him to move toward you. Pulling back gracefully invites pursuit, not because you're forcing it, but because you're creating the natural conditions for it. It's less about strategy and more about self-awareness, about knowing when to enjoy closeness and when to allow space to do its work. When a man experiences intimacy and then sees that you can enjoy it without losing yourself in it, he feels both safe and intrigued. Safe because you're not placing all the weight of your emotions on his shoulders, and intrigued because you remain slightly out of reach in the best possible way. That combination is what makes him chase you. It's not about manipulation, but about maintaining your own center. By doing so, you remind him that intimacy with you is not just physical closeness, it's an experience he has to earn and treasure. That is why pulling back gracefully, rather than clinging, becomes the secret move that keeps desire alive and makes him come toward you again and again. The feminine energy of self-possession is one of the most magnetic qualities a woman can carry, especially after intimacy, because it signals to a man that you are whole, complete, and grounded in who you are. When a man sees that your world does not suddenly revolve around him simply because you shared a vulnerable and intimate moment, it creates respect, it creates admiration. Most importantly, it creates a sense of desire, because men are instinctively drawn to women who carry themselves with confidence and certainty. Self-possession is not arrogance, nor is it pretending you don't care. It is the quiet but powerful energy of knowing your value and refusing to lose yourself in someone else. After intimacy, many women unconsciously give away this power. They start to overthink what the moment meant, they analyze his words and actions, or they look to him for reassurance that the connection was real. While these reactions are human, they can often push a man away because they shift the energy from natural closeness to pressure and dependency. When you stay in your feminine energy of self-possession, you do the opposite. You enjoy the connection without trying to hold it too tightly. You appreciate the intimacy while still being rooted in your own identity and life. This makes you incredibly attractive because it tells him that intimacy added to your life but did not define your life. Self-possession is also about emotional composure. It means you don't allow fear of loss or insecurity to dictate your actions. For instance, if he doesn't text you immediately after, you don't panic or chase validation. Instead, you trust that if the connection is real, it will naturally continue. This calm confidence creates a magnetic pull, because men notice when a woman is secure enough not to be shaken by small uncertainties. It makes them feel they are in the presence of someone rare, someone who is not easily swayed by emotions, but instead has a deep inner strength. Carrying feminine energy also involves showing that you have your own passions, routines, and priorities. You might have enjoyed an evening together, but the next day, you still wake up and live your life fully. You go to work, you pursue your goals, you spend time with your friends, and you nurture yourself. This balance signals that while intimacy with him is meaningful, your sense of happiness and fulfillment is not dependent on him. For a man, this is irresistible because it makes him feel he has to earn a place in your life rather than being handed it without effort. When you embody self-possession, you naturally communicate that your standards remain intact. Just because you've shared closeness doesn't mean your values disappear. You still expect respect, effort, and consistency. This creates a sense of stability that makes a man want to step up rather than step back. He realizes that he cannot simply win your body. He must continually invest in your heart and mind if he wants to keep you. That challenge is what keeps him chasing. The beauty of this energy is that it is not forced. You don't have to say, "I don't need you," or act aloof to prove your independence. It shows through your actions, your calmness, and your ability to balance affection with self-respect. A woman who is self-possessed can be warm, affectionate, and deeply connected, while at the same time radiating an aura that says, "I am enough as I am." This combination of warmth and strength is the essence of feminine magnetism. When a man experiences intimacy with a woman who carries this energy, he feels something rare. He doesn't just see someone who is emotionally available, he sees someone who is whole. That wholeness makes him want to chase, not because she is hard to get, but because she is worth pursuing. It creates a dynamic where intimacy is not the end of the chase, but the beginning of a deeper pursuit. That is why feminine self-possession is one of the most powerful moves you can make after intimacy, because it keeps the attraction alive while demanding his respect and effort in the process. The mystery of not over-explaining is one of the most overlooked yet powerful ways to keep a man chasing after intimacy, because it allows the connection to breathe without suffocating it with words or unnecessary emotional pressure. After closeness, many women feel a strong urge to explain how they feel, what the moment meant to them, or what they hope it means for the future. While this comes from a genuine place of vulnerability, it often backfires, because instead of creating closeness, it creates heaviness. Attraction is built not only on intimacy, but also on a sense of curiosity, and curiosity can only exist when you leave some space for him to wonder and process on his own. By resisting the urge to over-explain, you allow the mystery to linger, and that mystery is what draws him back to you. When you flood a man with explanations right after intimacy, you rob him of the chance to come to his own conclusions about how he feels. For example, if you immediately say, "That was amazing, I feel so connected, I think this means something big for us," you may think you are strengthening the bond, but what often happens is that he feels boxed in. He doesn't get the space to reflect and realize those feelings for himself. Instead, he may feel pressured to respond in kind, even if he isn't ready to verbalize those emotions in that moment. By holding back from over-explaining, you give him the freedom to explore his own emotions, and most importantly, to chase the experience again on his own terms. Mystery is not about withholding affection or being cold, it is about balance. You can smile, enjoy the moment, and be warm without dissecting it to pieces. Think of it like a beautiful song. You don't stop halfway through to analyze every lyric and instrument, you just enjoy it and let it wash over you. After intimacy, a man doesn't need a play-by-play of what it meant to you. He needs the space to sit with the memory of how you made him feel. That lingering energy of calmness and quiet mystery makes him miss you faster than 1,000 words ever could. Not over-explaining also communicates security. It shows that you don't feel the need to justify your choices or beg for reassurance. You were present in the moment, you enjoyed it, and that's enough. When you can sit in that confidence, it sends a powerful message. You know your worth, and you trust the connection to unfold naturally without forcing it. Men are incredibly sensitive to this energy. When they sense a woman trusts the flow rather than trying to control it, they feel more drawn to her because she becomes a source of ease instead of tension. Another element of this secret lies in body language and presence. Instead of over-explaining, you can let your actions and demeanor do the talking. A soft smile, a light-hearted laugh, or even a calm silence says more than words ever could. These subtle cues create a warm imprint without stripping away the intrigue. They leave him wondering what's on your mind in the best possible way, which naturally makes him want to reach out, pursue you, and discover more. Over-explaining often comes from fear. The fear that if you don't spell everything out, he won't understand, or worse, he won't value you. But in reality, mystery and restraint have a far stronger effect on his desire to chase. When you show that you don't need to narrate your emotions, he learns that you are comfortable letting the bond speak for itself. That quiet confidence is what keeps him invested, because it tells him you are not searching for validation, but sharing yourself from a place of strength. By avoiding the trap of over-explaining, you create an emotional space where he leans forward instead of pulling back. He will think about what the moment meant, he will replay it in his mind, and he will wonder what you are thinking. That wondering is what fuels pursuit. Instead of handing him all the answers, you let him earn them by coming closer, by reaching out, and by chasing the connection again. This is why the mystery of not over-explaining is such a powerful move, because it transforms intimacy from a moment of pressure into a memory he cannot stop revisiting, making him eager to create it with you once more. The subtle shift in body language after intimacy is one of the most powerful signals you can send to a man, because it communicates volumes without you ever needing to say a word. Attraction and connection are not just about what happens during intimacy, but also about what you project in the moments afterward. Your body language tells him whether you are confident, fulfilled, and in control of yourself, or whether you are clinging, anxious, and waiting for his validation. The difference between the two is profound, and often it is this nonverbal communication that makes him either chase you harder or pull away. After intimacy, many women feel the urge to physically hold on, to stay wrapped around him, or to linger longer than feels natural. While affection can be beautiful, If it crosses into over-clinging, it subtly communicates dependency. Men, much like anyone else, are drawn to energy that feels light, magnetic, and confident rather than heavy or needy. A subtle shift in body language, such as moving with ease, smiling softly, or naturally transitioning back into your world, sends the message that you enjoyed the moment but are not defined by it. It is a graceful way of reminding him that you are still your own person, a woman who values connection yet remains centered in her independence. Think about the difference between a woman who, after intimacy, clutches tightly and anxiously asks, "What are you thinking?" versus a woman who simply rests beside him with calm presence, maybe offers a warm smile, and then eventually gets up to carry on with her day. The first projects insecurity, while the second radiates confidence. That second energy leaves a lasting impression because it tells him, without words, that she is emotionally balanced. It shows that she can enjoy closeness without losing her sense of self. That contrast makes him want to pursue her because he knows she will never drown him with neediness, but instead will always bring him a sense of calm and lightness. Small, almost invisible gestures can have an enormous impact. For instance, the way you carry yourself when you leave his space matters. If you walk away with a light step, shoulders back, and an easy smile, you leave behind an imprint of confidence and satisfaction. It suggests that you are fulfilled, not because you desperately needed him, but because you know how to savor moments without attaching your entire worth to them. On the other hand, if your body language shows nervousness, hesitation, or desperation, he will unconsciously associate the experience with tension rather than desire. Even eye contact plays a role. A lingering but gentle look can spark a sense of mystery, making him want to know more, while darting, searching eyes can communicate anxiety. Similarly, a soft laugh or playful nudge can leave him remembering you with joy, while a serious, overly intense stare might make him feel weighed down. These differences are subtle, but they shape how he remembers the moment long after it has passed. The beauty of body language is that it often speaks louder than declarations of feelings. You don't need to say, "I'm confident" or "I'm not attached," because your posture, movements, and energy already tell him. If you sit up slowly, adjust yourself with grace, or gently redirect the atmosphere with composure, he sees that you are comfortable in your own skin. This effortless display of self-assuredness creates a magnetic pull. He will want to chase you because you embody both warmth and independence in one package. The truth is, men remember how they felt around you more than the exact words you spoke. If your body language after intimacy leaves him feeling light, respected, and intrigued, he will naturally seek that feeling again. The subtle shift from clinging to graceful presence is what makes you unforgettable. By carrying yourself with poise, by moving as if you are complete with or without him, you make him see that being with you is a privilege, not something he can take for granted. That realization is what makes him want to chase you, because your body language showed him, in silence, that you are both deeply connected and wonderfully unattainable all at once. Leaving a positive emotional imprint after intimacy is one of the most powerful ways to make a man chase you, because people are always drawn back to how you made them feel. Long after words fade and details blur, the emotional atmosphere you created in those final moments lingers in his mind, shaping the way he remembers you. If the time you spent together ends with warmth, playfulness, and lightness, he will crave more of that energy. If it ends with tension, heaviness, or insecurity, he will instinctively pull back, even if he can't explain why. The emotional imprint is like the aftertaste of a delicious meal. It's the last thing he experiences, and it colors his desire to come back for more. This is why it's so important to be intentional about the energy you leave behind. Imagine the difference between leaving a man with laughter still echoing in his mind versus leaving him with a cloud of worry or interrogation. If the final moments together are filled with joy, affection, or even playful banter, his memory of you becomes associated with happiness. Every time he thinks of you, that positive emotional residue resurfaces, and he finds himself wanting to relive it. But if you end the moment by questioning him about where things are going or expressing fears about his commitment, the imprint becomes linked to stress, which diminishes the pull for him to chase. A positive emotional imprint is not about pretending everything is perfect or faking emotions. It's about anchoring the experience in a way that highlights connection rather than insecurity. A simple act like leaving him with a light-hearted joke, a soft smile, or even a calm silence can achieve this. The goal is to let him walk away thinking, "I felt good when I was with her." That thought alone is often enough to spark the desire to reach out, to reconnect, and to chase more of what he just experienced. It's also about balance. You don't need to perform or exaggerate your emotions to make a lasting impression. In fact, overdoing it can have the opposite effect. True magnetism lies in subtlety. For example, after intimacy, instead of overanalyzing the moment, you might simply say something kind, leave a playful touch, and carry yourself with ease. The simplicity of that action leaves him with clarity rather than confusion. He isn't left wondering if you're anxious or unhappy. Instead, he's left with the warm memory of your presence. Another powerful aspect of leaving a positive emotional imprint is creating contrast. If the intimacy was deep and vulnerable, adding a moment of lightness afterward can seal the experience in his mind as not only meaningful, but also enjoyable. For instance, sharing a small laugh after a serious moment can make the memory multi-dimensional and more irresistible to revisit. Men don't just chase physical connection, they chase the feeling of being uplifted, of being at ease, and of being appreciated. When you combine closeness with positivity, you create a memory that stands out. This principle works in both subtle and lasting ways. In the short term, he might find himself texting you the next day because he simply feels drawn back to your energy. In the long term, he may find himself valuing you more deeply because he associates you with peace rather than pressure. People naturally want more of what makes them feel good, and intimacy is no different. If you can master the art of leaving him feeling lighter, happier, and more fulfilled after being with you, he won't just remember the physical connection, he'll remember the emotional high that came with it. Ultimately, leaving a positive emotional imprint isn't about trying too hard or pretending to be carefree. It's about being intentional in how you carry yourself and what kind of memory you want to leave behind. When you end the moment with grace, warmth, and playfulness, you ensure that his mind replays not only what happened, but also how good it felt. That lingering feeling becomes the magnet that pulls him back toward you, making him eager to chase, because he craves that emotional atmosphere only you know how to create. Consistency with your standards after intimacy is one of the most crucial elements that determines whether a man will chase you or drift away. Intimacy often creates a vulnerable moment where emotions run high, and it's easy to let feelings cloud your judgment. Many women, in an effort to keep the connection alive, begin to compromise on the very standards and values that once attracted the man in the first place. They might become more forgiving of behaviors they wouldn't normally tolerate, or they may start lowering their expectations out of fear that holding him accountable will push him away. But what actually keeps a man chasing is not when you bend to his every move. It's when you remain firm in who you are, what you expect, and how you allow yourself to be treated, even after you've shared closeness with him. When you are consistent with your standards, you send a clear message. Intimacy with you does not mean automatic access to your time, your energy, or your heart without effort. He understands that just because you've let him into your world physically does not mean he can take your emotional investment for granted. This makes him value you more because he sees that intimacy did not weaken your boundaries, but instead highlighted the strength of your character. A man respects what he has to work for, and if intimacy is followed by unwavering consistency in your standards, he realizes that you are not someone he can easily win and then neglect. He has to continue showing up, Consistency also provides stability, which men find deeply attractive. If one day you hold yourself to high standards and the next day you drop them just to keep his attention, it creates confusion. He begins to question where you truly stand and whether he can trust the version of you he first admired. But when your standards are steady, he feels a sense of security. He knows that your expectations are not tied to fleeting emotions, but are part of your core identity. That steadiness gives him clarity and increases his desire to meet those expectations, because he understands that your approval is not something he can win cheaply. A woman who stays consistent after intimacy also avoids the trap of giving away her power. Too often, women believe that physical closeness automatically secures emotional closeness from a man, and when it doesn't, they panic and start to overgive. They accept crumbs of attention, they ignore red flags, or they excuse disrespect just to hold on to the connection. But this only weakens the bond. A man doesn't chase what comes too easily. He chases what challenges him, what inspires him, and what keeps him accountable. If your standards are the same before and after intimacy, he learns that your self-worth is unshakable. That realization makes him want to rise to meet you rather than risk losing you. Being consistent with your standards also means practicing self-control. Even if your emotions are strong, you don't let them override the principles that protect your happiness. For example, if you've decided you want effort, respect, and consistency from a man, you don't excuse his lack of communication just because you're now emotionally attached. Instead, you calmly hold him to the same expectation you always did. This kind of discipline is rare, and it makes you stand out. Men know when they can get away with less, and they also know when they're with a woman who won't tolerate it. The latter is the woman they chase, because she is not afraid to walk away if her standards are not met. At its core, consistency with your standards is not about being rigid or unkind, but about honoring yourself. It means recognizing that intimacy does not change your worth and does not reduce what you deserve. It keeps you from slipping into a dynamic where you are giving more than you're receiving. By holding on to your standards with grace, you reinforce the message that your value remains the same, regardless of how close he has gotten to you. And that truth is what makes him chase you harder, because he understands that winning your body was not the finish line. It was just the beginning of the journey to truly earn your heart. When you put all of these pieces together, the bigger picture becomes clear. What makes a man chase you after intimacy isn't a trick, a game, or some manipulative tactic. It's the energy you bring into those moments and the way you carry yourself afterward. Pulling back gracefully creates space for him to lean in. Self-possession reminds him that your world does not revolve around him. The mystery of not over-explaining keeps him intrigued and wanting more. Your body language communicates confidence and independence without a single word. Leaving a positive emotional imprint ensures he associates you with joy, warmth, and ease. And by staying consistent with your standards, you show him that intimacy doesn't change your worth. It only reaffirms it. Together, these moves send a powerful message. You are a woman of depth, confidence, and value. You are not chasing him. Instead, you are inviting him to rise to the level of who you are. And when he realizes that, when he feels both the connection and the challenge, he won't just walk away. He will chase you because he knows you are someone rare, someone unforgettable, and someone worth every ounce of pursuit.